Hey guys, and welcome to my channel. I'm Belle Morgaine, and this is Histories with Belle. So today I want to talk to you about something that is very near and dear to my heart. Can you guess what? That's right, tattoos. So the practice of tattooing goes more than 5,000 years back in time and spans pretty much over the entire world. And some of the techniques that were used throughout history are actually techniques that we still use sometimes today, especially in certain cultures. And these are some of the things I want to talk to you guys about today, but also over the next few videos that I'm going to make here. So you might ask, who am I to be qualified to talk about this stuff? So let me introduce myself, I suppose. I've always been a huge fan of archaeology, also tattooing, and no, it doesn't come from Indiana Jones, but I remember as a kid loving to dig up stuff in the garden, and so after a small detour at university where I studied language, I actually started studying classical archaeology, and a few years ago I got my master's degree. Through my whole period of studying, I also got the opportunity to give, I guess, lectures and talk to a lot of people about history and archaeology, not just my peers, but I also got the opportunity to speak at schools and just to people that were interested in the subject. And I really found that I love talking to people that don't necessarily have the education for it, but just have a genuine interest in history, because it gives you a very interesting perspective and a lot of really cool questions, right? Yeah, and through my whole education, I also got the opportunity to go on a lot of excavations and just trips that were funded through the university, which was awesome. I've been to Italy several times, for example. I love Italy, and I actually ended up getting a scholarship to study in Italy for a few months as well, which was fantastic. But after all that was done, I was kind of over the whole school thing for a while. It had been quite a few years, and I got the opportunity to work at a what is called a traditional tattoo studio in Denmark. And that is where I work as the studio manager right now, which is awesome. I get to combine a lot of things that I love, so quite practical work together with a lot of research, for example, and I guess what you could call experimental archaeology. And we're going to talk more about that and what we do at the studio in another video soon, hopefully. But yeah, so I know a little bit of what I'm talking about, maybe not as much as some. There's always someone who knows more than you do. And the thing is, there is quite a bit of research done on the history of tattooing, the archaeology of tattooing, even the anthropology of tattooing, maybe even specifically that. But a lot of it is kind of towards academicians or people that have done a lot of research, and the reading can be quite heavy and also not necessarily easy to get a hold of. But there are actually a few people that have written stuff that's a little bit more easily accessible, I guess, to just anyone. And two of them I kind of want to recommend to you. There is a man called Lars Krutark. He has written extensively several books on the anthropology of tattooing. He had his own TV show a few years ago called Tattoo Hunter, I believe. And he has also worked together with another guy called Aaron Dieter Wolf, who is a fantastic guy. I've actually had some contact with him. He was kind enough to help me with my research and help me find some really good books on the subject, as well as just papers and stuff that were not necessarily published and accessible to to the public. One of the books that I would like to recommend to you guys actually is this one right here, which is called Ancient Ink, and it is edited by Lars Plutarch and Aaron Dieter Wolf, and has a lot of great authors in it. It's based on articles. I'm gonna try and link it down below. And yeah, it has articles written from all over the world, from different perspectives, so it's fantastic, actually. So yeah, just kind of take a little sip here. So the idea here is really that I want to talk to you guys about the history of tattooing, the anthropology of tattooing, the archaeology of tattooing, in a way that is maybe a little easier to get a hold of, to understand. I'm not going to keep it on a crazy scientific level or anything, just, I don't know, a casual chat, I suppose, and I really hope you guys enjoy it. If not, that's also okay. It's just something that I enjoy talking about, and well, I hope you guys enjoy it too. So I guess we maybe start sort of at the beginning. As I mentioned previously, the oldest known physical evidence of tattooing, I guess, go more than 5,000 years back in time, and it is, I think, still to today, the Tyrolean mummy that is known as Ötzi, and he was found in the Alps pretty much by accident in 1991, and he was kind of accidentally mummified. So through the weather, I mean, he died up there in the mountains, and through the weather conditions he got mummified and quite well preserved. And his body has 61 tattoos pretty much all over the body. They're quite small and divided into different groups, mostly consistent of lines and dots, and they're placed kind of interestingly. So you'll find them on, for example, his wrists, his legs. I think there's several on his back, and they're placed in a way where one of the consensuses is that they may have been there for a medical purpose. So they're placed in locations on his body where you would, for example, use acupuncture, places where there is some evidence that he suffered from different aches and pains, possibly diseases, and that they were put there to counteract his issues, if you will. I guess there's no conclusive evidence, obviously, that is 100% the case, but there are indications that that is what they would have been used as. And the thing is, tattoos have had so many uses over history and over all those thousands of years, and different uses in different cultures, obviously. So anything from medical to magical uses or purposes, to initiation rites, for example, probably also just purely decorative. So it has never just been one thing. It has also probably been to mark people, whether it be in a good way or a bad way, to show that you belong to a certain group of people. And that's also something we're gonna discuss a bit further on. Yeah, I mean, I find this super exciting. And last but not least, I just want to just touch on something I mentioned in the beginning of the video, which is that a lot of the methods that were used for tattooing way back are actually very similar to methods we use today. You might go, duh, it's a needle that goes through the skin, right? And yeah, it's pretty much that simple, right? So all you would have needed really is a small, sharp, pointy object, say a needle, a sharpened piece of bone, a thorn from a flower. Excuse me. And possibly fastened to a stick, something to hold on to. Sorry about that little break there. Pollen allergies, really no joke. So yeah, so what you would have needed, sharp object, possibly fastened to something, and then obviously some pigment, something ink type like. And one example of how that would have been made was to have like an oil lamp, for example, obviously covering the flame a little bit, so there would have been a layer of soot that got scraped off and then mixed in with some type of liquid, water, oil, something like that, to create a kind of paste like substance, maybe a little bit more liquid than a paste, and that would have then been used as the ink to go under the skin. There are also instances where you would actually do the pricks in the skin first, whether it be kind of cutting or poking, and then the pigment would have been rubbed or massaged into the open skin. It's fairly simple, and it is pretty much how we still do it today. What we in our studios here professionally call hand poking, which has also commonly been known as stick and poke. Pretty much the same type of technique that we still use today. Also similar to a lot of other traditional tattoos that are still being made all over the world. Now that being said, I want to say that doing this today, tattoo artists doing this today, there is a lot of practice, there's a lot of knowledge that goes into making these tattoos in a safe and correct way, right? And it is not something you should just go home and do because I told you it's super easy to make these things, right? So kids, don't do this at home. I'm gonna go into more details further on. I think for today this has been a little bit of an introduction on what I want to talk to you guys about. I hope you've enjoyed it and that you will tune in again for my next video. Yeah, so thank you for watching. What is it they say? Like and subscribe, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!